What's good, everyone? You are in tune to Raggedy Crimes and Chaos, where technology always wins. I'm your host, and today we're talking about a woman who thought she was being so careful, wore gloves, planned everything, never left fingerprints, but used Google Maps to navigate to every single burglary for 2 years. Let's get into this digital disaster. Alright, so this is Crystal Martinez, 29 years old, professional burglar, or at least she thinks she is. 2 years of break-ins, never caught. She's got a system. Always wear gloves. Always plans. Always careful. Today's target, the Anderson residence. Big house, nice neighborhood. Crystal saw their Facebook post about Disney World with photos at the airport. They'll be gone for a week. So Crystal loads her car with supplies, gloves, flashlight, backpack, lockpicks. Then opens her phone and types the Anderson address into Google Maps. 847 Oak Ridge Drive, she says. Her phone's pleasant voice responds, "In 500 feet, turn right." What Crystal doesn't know is that Google Maps is documenting everything. Every route, every destination, every timestamp. A perfect digital trail of her entire criminal career. Crystal parks 2 houses down, walks casually to the Anderson house. Back door lock is easy. Inside in 3 minutes. Living room, laptop, tablet, gaming console, all in the backpack. Upstairs, jewelry box, diamond earrings, watches, heirloom necklace. "This is a good haul," Crystal mutters. 15 minutes in and out. Clean. She loads everything in her car and opens Google Maps again. Navigate home. In 300 feet, turn left, her phone says cheerfully. And Google Maps creates another perfect record of her traveling from home to the crime scene and back home, with timestamps, GPS coordinates, the works. 3 hours later, Crystal's at Rick's pawn shop. He's her fence, buys everything, asks no questions. "Nice stuff," Rick says, examining the jewelry. "Anderson family, right? Oh, did you?" "Says so on the engraving." He shows her the necklace. "To Margaret Henderson. Love always, Tom." Crystal hadn't noticed. They settle on a price. Crystal drives home, feeling successful. Another clean job. What she doesn't know, Rick's been under investigation for 3 months. Undercover officers have been documenting every transaction, waiting for a big enough case to make arrests. Crystal's sale just gave them everything they needed. 1 week later, police raid Rick's pawn shop. They find the Henderson jewelry. The Hendersons reported the burglary when they got home. "Who sold you these?" Detective Morrison asked. "Rick's looking at serious prison time. He doesn't hesitate." "Girl named Crystal Martinez. I got her number. She comes in a lot." "How often?" "Couple times a month. Been doing business for about 2 years." Detective Morrison smiles. This just got much bigger. They get a warrant for Crystal's phone records. What they find is a prosecutor's dream. 2 years of Google Maps history showing her traveling to dozens of burglary locations, time-stamped perfectly with reported crimes. Officer Davis is scrolling through the data. She literally documented every crime. Every single one. Let me paint you a picture. Detectives pull up Crystal's Google Maps timeline. It's covered in red dots. 47 burglary locations over 2 years. Each one has a line connecting it to her home address. She used GPS to navigate to burglaries? Detective Morrison can't believe it. To and from, with timestamps. And she saved her home address as home in her phone. This woman created a perfect map of her entire criminal career. Detective work? They didn't need to do any. She detective worked herself. They arrest Crystal at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. She's still in her pajamas. "Crystal Martinez?" Detective Morrison shows his badge. "Yeah." "We need to talk about your GPS history." Crystal's face goes pale. "My what?" At the station, they show her a map covered in red dots. "This is your Google Maps history," Detective Morrison explains. "Every time you used navigation, it created a record." Crystal stares at the map. Her entire career displayed in neat red dots. The Anderson house? Detective points. "You navigated there October 15th at 2:47 p.m., left at 3:32 p.m., then navigated to Rick's pawn shop, arrived 4:01 p.m. He pulls up another dot. The Chen residence, September 22nd, arrived 11:15 a.m., left 11:58 a.m., straight to the pawn shop. Another dot, the Rodriguez family, August 30th. "Okay," Crystal interrupts. "I get it. My phone ratted me out." Here's what kills me about this. Crystal was being so careful about physical evidence. Wore gloves every time, planned meticulously, never left DNA or fingerprints. But she was using Google Maps. She was focused on analog evidence while creating perfect digital evidence. That's like locking your front door, but leaving your GPS tracker on. Actually, that's exactly what she did. During our interview, Crystal tries to explain herself. I didn't know Google Maps kept a history. Detective Morrison pulls up his own phone. You see this? Timeline feature? It tracks everywhere you go automatically. I never looked at that. Clearly, because if you had, you would have seen 2 years of evidence against yourself. Crystal puts her head in her hands. I was so careful about everything else. You were careful about 20th century evidence. But this is the 21st century. I wore gloves. I never left fingerprints. I planned every job. And then you navigated to every single one using an app that creates a permanent record. Officer Davis, watching from the corner, adds, you know what's crazy? We were about to close half these cases as unsolved. We had no leads, no fingerprints, no witnesses, no physical evidence. And then Rick got busted. Gave us your name. We pulled your phone records. And there it was. A complete confession in map form. Crystal tries to fight it. Her public defender argues it's circumstantial. Just because she drove to these locations, the prosecutor interrupts. She drove to 47 burglary locations on the exact days and times they occurred, within minutes of when the burglaries were reported. Then immediately drove to a pawn shop where stolen goods were recovered. And the items she sold, then immediately drove to a pawn shop where stolen goods were recovered. And the items she sold match the items reported stolen from those exact addresses. The judge looks at Crystal. How do you plead? Crystal thinks about fighting, but the evidence is overwhelming. Digital, irrefutable. Guilty, Your Honor. She gets 5 years, eligible for parole in 3. At the sentencing, the judge says something that sticks with Crystal. Miss Martinez, you were a meticulous criminal. You planned carefully. You executed well. You avoided physical evidence. But you forgot that in the modern age, your phone is a witness. And unlike human witnesses, your phone never forgets. It never lies. It keeps perfect records. Perhaps that's the lesson here. Let me break down how Google Maps timeline works, because Crystal's not the only person who doesn't know about this. If you have an Android phone or use Google Maps on iPhone, your phone tracks everywhere you go automatically. It records exact addresses, arrival and departure times, routes taken, how long you stayed. It creates a complete history of your movements, days, months, years, and you can access it anytime. Google Maps, timeline. It'll show you everywhere you've been, every restaurant, every address, every location. Most people find this helpful. Oh yeah, what was that restaurant we went to in June? But if you're committing crimes, it's a confession. So, what have we learned from today's Raggedy crime? Lesson 1. Your phone tracks everything. Location, timestamps, routes. If you're doing something illegal, maybe don't use GPS. Better yet, don't do illegal things. Lesson 2. Physical evidence isn't the only evidence. Digital footprints are just as damning and often more accurate. Lesson 3. Being careful about one thing doesn't help if you're careless about everything else. And honestly, this is a cautionary tale for everyone, not just criminals. Your phone knows where you go, when you go there, how long you stay. That's powerful data. Companies have it. Law enforcement can get it with a warrant. So, if you value privacy, check your settings. Turn off location history if you want. But know that it exists. Know that it's tracking. Know that it's keeping records. Because Crystal didn't know. And now she's in prison. Alright, that's it for today's episode of Raggedy Crimes and Chaos. If this made you check your Google Maps timeline, good. See where you've been. It's eye-opening. Crystal Martinez wore gloves, avoided cameras, planned everything perfectly. But her phone was keeping receipts the whole time. That's the modern age for you. Until then, stay safe, stay smart, and maybe turn off location tracking. You are tuned out of Raggedy Crimes and Chaos. I'm out.